Hey everyone. Today's video is going to be about pronouns. So pronouns are a pretty big topic on the SAT writing test. They make up like a lot of the questions, and there's various types of various types of pronoun questions that I have here. But there's just a basic understanding of pronouns will help you answer all these different types of questions, no matter what you come across. So yeah, right now we're gonna go over like the basics of what pronouns are. They're just words that are used to replace an antecedent, which is a noun that the pronoun refers to. So in this example sentence here, Joanna does not Joanna does not like broccoli, but she prefers it to carrots. So in this sentence, we can see that it is the pronoun because it refers to a previously mentioned noun, and broccoli is the antecedent because that's what it is referring to. So it would make sense to say broccoli twice, as I put here at the bottom, but it's really awkward to have that, like redundant noun, I guess. So yeah, that's why we use pronouns. So there are like many types of pronouns, or many different ones, I'd say, like it, them, they, he, her, she, stuff like that. It's just a mix of subject, object, and possessive pronouns, I guess. I don't really need to go into that right now. Yeah, because that's not really going to be tested on the SAT. But yeah, so the first type of question is pronoun clarity. So basically, these questions focus on the idea that the pronoun must have a clear and logical antecedent. So it'll present you with a sentence, and I'm pretty sure all the time, or at least most of the time, there's going to be a problem with how like the pronoun and antecedent are set up. So either like there will be an antecedent and like multiple pronouns that it could refer to, or sorry, there will be one pronoun and multiple antecedents that it could refer to, which can make it like pretty difficult. And in that case, you'd have to make the pronoun into a specific noun instead of just an unspecific pronoun, because like yeah, that doesn't make sense. And in another case, there could be a pronoun with no logical antecedent, so you'd also have to replace that with a noun. So we'll get into the multiple antecedent case right here. So yeah, multiple possible antecedents, in which case the pronoun is too unspecific and must be taken out. So this example sentence here. Even though many people say dogs and cats are equally great pets, I believe they are clearly worse. So they, it's referring to either dogs or cats because it's like the person who wrote the sentence, from their viewpoint, one type of pet is clearly worse. But we don't know if it's dogs or cats. So they is pretty unspecific. It's a plural pronoun, but dogs and cats are both plural nouns, so that gives it two possible antecedents. So I haven't put answer choices here because I didn't set it up like a normal question, but it would generally say something like it, them, they, no change, and the right choice would be to replace they with dogs or cats to make it specific. Okay, so the next case, no antecedents. So sometimes the sentence will contain a pronoun with no possible antecedents. So this example here, when the baseball team won, their parents threw a party. So this might make it seems to make sense, I guess, because there's a bunch of players on the team and their parents threw the party, but the players aren't specifically mentioned here. It just says when the baseball team won, their parents threw a party. And we know that the baseball team, like just the team itself, not the people on the team, it doesn't have its own parents. So that doesn't make sense. So there is unclear. We don't know what it's referring to. So it should be more specifically the players. Um, yeah, the players. I put an apostrophe there, but it's hard to see. Yeah, there's just example problems that you can do to get the hang of this. But basically, for pronoun clarity, you just make it so that there, if there's a pronoun, make sure it can only have one logical antecedent, and if it doesn't, then just replace it with a noun, such as the players or dogs or cats. So that's pretty much it for pronoun clarity. Here's my example problem that I found online. The industrial processing of orange juice, which involves pasteurization and up to a year of storage, results in a product with very little flavor. So they add flavor packs just prior to bottling. So we're going to look at they here. When approaching any pronoun question, you find the pronoun and then you look to see a possible antecedent that it's referring to. So they, um, this is a plural subject pronoun. You don't have to learn the classifications, but you should know plural versus singular. So they, since this is plural, we should be looking for a plural noun before, which could be the antecedent that they is referring to. So if we look before, all the nouns are processing, orange juice, pasteurization, storage, product. None of them are plural. So they is not really, it can't work in this case. So you're going to have to replace it with something more specific. And remember what I said is if there's a pronoun with no clear antecedent, the pronoun must be replaced with a noun to make it specific. So in this case, we're going to look at B and D. Since C also says they, we can't use that. So A and C are out of the question. So it's manufacturers and consumers. So, and if we look at the sentence, it says, so they add flavor packs just prior to bottling. Consumers are not going to be the ones adding stuff prior to bottling. That's going to be manufacturers who are actually producing this orange juice. So the correct choice is B. So here are pronoun antecedent questions. Pretty similar to pronoun clarity questions, but they just focus on the relationship between pronouns and antecedents. So pretty much all this is singular versus plural. These questions will often have a singular antecedent with a plural pronoun or vice versa, and you just want to correct it to make it right. So look at this example question here. Before a jury trial begins, lawyers for each side interview potential jurors closely, asking him or her questions intended to reveal any biases. So him or her, these are both singular pronouns, and they can be referring to just a person if you don't know their gender. But um, if we read this question, lawyers for each side interview potential jurors. If they interview the jurors, it says asking him or her questions. We can assume that him or her is supposed to refer to the jurors. However, there is not one juror, which would make sense if it, him or her would make sense if it was one, because that would be a singular antecedent combined with singular pronouns. However, jurors is a plural antecedent. Therefore, him or her should just be them. So B is the correct answer. Here is another example question. Thanks to its long legs, giraffes are very fast, running as quickly as 35 miles per hour in short bursts. So we want to see if the plurality of the pronoun and antecedent match up. So it right here is a singular pronoun, and it says its long legs. This is a possessive noun, so the antecedent has to be something that owns the long legs, which we can clearly see is the giraffes. However, giraffes is plural, which disagrees with its long legs. So it should be C there. Thanks to their long legs, giraffes are very fast. That makes sense just by matching the plurality of the antecedent and pronoun. So this last thing I'm going to go over is plural versus possessive. So these aren't really too related to pronouns, but these are pretty present on the SAT, which I think they're actually more common than pronouns, like pronoun questions, but they're easier, I'd say. So basically, there's a lot of confusion between plurals and possessives, I guess. Like, um, because they both add an S at the end of words most of the time and have apostrophes, and the rules are kind of tricky. So we'll just go over this. So possessive. If the noun possesses something, it should end in apostrophe S. So teacher's pet. The teacher is possessing the pet. Therefore, it's teacher apostrophe S pet. Brother's friend. Same thing. The I think a clear exception to this is pronouns, but these are all exceptions that should be memorized. So him, it's not him's whatever. It's his, but you already know that. Her is hers. It just goes on like that. So with a plural noun, when the noun in the sentence is plural, it should end in S with no apostrophe. So I see a lot of this. This mistake happens a lot. And yeah, it should just end in S. So bunnies, cars, shoes. Um, bunnies, singular for bunny just ends in Y. However, YS doesn't make sense. So you're just gonna have to know the exceptions to that. I think the only things that potentially you don't just stick an S onto is ones that end in Y or O, and some things matrix. The plural is matrices, but you don't need to know that for the SAT. So here's the tricky one. If the noun is both possessive and plural, it should end in S with an apostrophe at the end. So if we stuck both these rules together, it should end in an S apostrophe and another S. But that's just redundant to put two S's next to each other. So yeah. So teachers, brothers, bunnies. So if like a group of teachers own something, then it's teachers apostrophe, and the same thing for these other two. So here's an example question that I just typed. We have to listen to the scientists' and doctors' orders to stay healthy. So right now we're going to evaluate scientist and doctor, like just these two the most simple form of the noun, no plural or possessive, and we're just gonna I guess figure out what the correct spelling is for the meaning, like if it matches plural, possessive, stuff like that. So I just realized that this isn't a very clear question. It could be one scientist and one doctor, but for the sake of this question, we're going to say that they're both plural. So if you look through these, the answer is just going to be C because it's scientist with an S at the end and apostrophe, and doctors with an apostrophe because these orders belong to the scientist and doctor. Therefore, it should be, or scientists and doctors should both be possessive. And since it's a group, it should be plural too. So it's just going to be S apostrophe. So this is a pretty bad question, but you can kind of get the gist. And yeah, here are your additional practice questions, 4 of them with the answers at the very last page. So yeah, thanks for watching.